It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
I want to play a game.
Hello everybody, Yussef here from Sounds from the Grave, and today we have a very special video for you. Bela Lugosi, one of the most revered and most well-known actors in the horror genre, he played Dracula in the classic 1931 Universal film. However, he didn't really have an easy life. From his childhood up until his passing, he experienced many trials and tribulations, as well as his fair share of tragedy. Much of his personal life was shrouded in mystery, but as more and more information has been found and uncovered, we have been able to get a clearer picture of the man behind the cape. This is the tragic life of Bela Lugosi. Before we start the video, I would like to ask you guys to please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as check out our podcast. We are on Anchor, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and we do release new episodes every Monday at 12 p.m. Now, without further ado, let's get the show on the road. Bela Lugosi was actually born Bela Ferenc Desko Blasko in the town of Lugos in the Kingdom of Hungary. The youngest of 4 children, he was raised in a Roman Catholic family that was steadfastly middle class. At the age of 12, Lugosi dropped out of school and began his acting career in the early 1900s, appearing in several small roles in plays and operettas. Here, he changed his name to Lugosi in honor of his hometown. He then moved to Budapest in 1911, where he played many roles for the National Theatre of Hungary. Lugosi would go on to serve in World War I as an infantryman for the Austro-Hungarian army, going so far as to reach the rank of lieutenant. He was wounded in battle and was discharged. The wounds he sustained would continuously affect him for the rest of his life. In 1919, he was forced to leave his country due to his involvement in a revolution in Hungary, as well as his participation in the Hungarian Soviet Republic. He would move across several parts of Europe, including Vienna and Berlin, before immigrating to America as a crewman aboard a merchant ship. After relocating to the US, Lugosi worked as a laborer while still pursuing acting. He performed in several Hungarian plays before landing his first English-speaking role in a play called The Red Poppy. At the time, Lugosi knew little to no English and had to learn his role bit by bit, with constant repetition until he was able to perform. In 1927, he received his big break when he was cast as the titular character for the film adaptation of Dracula.
Listen to them, children of the night. What music they make.
Originally, the role was meant to go to Lon Chaney, but due to his passing, the role was given to Lugosi instead. The film was a critical and commercial success, and because of this, the marketing team for Universal Studios at the time scrambled to create an elaborate backstory befitting his character. Gone was his upbringing in a middle-class family and acting career, replaced by a count's pedigree and a castle in the mountains of Transylvania. This would just be one of the first major changes and effects that the role of Dracula would have on his life. Because of the success of Dracula, Lugosi was essentially typecast as a horror actor, appearing in films such as Murders in the Rue Morgue, The Raven, and White Zombie. His role opportunities were severely limited due to his thick Hungarian accent, and this led to him being cast as exotic characters in small roles. In several Universal films, as well as some RKO films, Lugosi was paired with Boris Karloff. Reports are a bit contradictory as to whether or not they got along and were friends. However, it is widely accepted that they were more rivals than anything. Some reports pointed to Lugosi resenting Karloff due to his continued success, as well as his ability to get roles outside of the horror genre. Karloff also believed that Lugosi was not a good actor and had not honed his trade. During all of this, Lugosi worked tirelessly, lobbying to be considered for more roles outside of horror, even going so far as to put listings in the actor's magazine, Player's Directory, that his typecasting in horror was an error. A number of factors began to work against Lugosi in the mid to late 1930s. For one, Universal Studios changed management, and there was also a British ban on horror films at the time, which caused Universal to drop many films from its production schedule. This led to Lugosi being transferred to Universal's B Unit, which produced low-budget, little-seen films. Lugosi's name was only used to attract an audience. One of the few bright spots of Lugosi's career came in 1938, when a theater owner decided to show a creature double feature with Frankenstein and Dracula. The showings were so popular that the theater owner had to extend the run to deal with the capacity crowds. Lugosi would later go on to say that he had died, and this theater owner had brought him back to life. Because of this resurgence, Lugosi was cast in Universal's Son of Frankenstein, where he played Igor, and was considered to be one of his best performances. He enjoyed a good amount of success in the 1940s, with an appearance in the film Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. The success was not to last, however. In 1943, he appeared in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, where he played the titular monster. Lugosi's dialogue was unfortunately cut, and because his version of the monster was blind, the performance left many in the audience confused. Due to the injuries he received in World War I, Lugosi was left with a severe and chronic case of sciatica. Although he first treated the case with natural remedies, his doctor soon prescribed opiates. Lugosi eventually became addicted to both morphine and methadone, which severely affected his film career. Things began to surge forward again when in the 1950s he was rediscovered by infamous low-budget filmmaker Ed Wood. Wood found Lugosi living in near poverty and obscurity and offered him several roles in his films. During this time, Lugosi sought treatment for his drug addiction and entered a rehabilitation facility. The ticket sales from his premieres were to be used for his medical expenses. One of the most surprising things that had happened during this time is when Frank Sinatra paid him a visit in the hospital and helped with his medical expenses, even though the two men had never met before. Following his treatment, Lugosi made one final film in 1955, The Black Sleep. To his disappointment, however, his role was reduced to that of a mute. Bela Lugosi passed away in 1956 at the age of 73 due to a heart attack. He was buried in one of his Dracula capes. His most famous role would also become his undoing, as he was never really able to escape the character and it limited the films that he was cast in. But he nonetheless persevered and recorded an astoundingly long filmography. His life was marked by issues with addiction, not being properly treated by the studio system at the time, and incredibly low points in his career. He is still considered one of the great horror actors of his generation, with films that have lasting effect today, and will continue to do so for quite a long time. I really hope you enjoyed the video and were able to learn some new facts. I know when I was doing the research for this, I found a lot of information that I knew nothing about, and I was surprised at many of the things that Bela Lugosi went through. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will definitely find you in our next video or our next podcast episode, whichever one comes out first. But for now, I bid you good night. Stay spooky, my friends.